Hello, my name is Elaine, and I am reading the book, Why Are People Different? On behalf of Youth United and United Way. This book is written by Barbara Shook Hazen. One day after school, Terry stomped in the door, threw his guitar case on the floor, and said, "Nobody likes me because I'm different." "I like you," said Terry's grandma, giving him a warm welcome home hug. "That doesn't count," said Terry. "You're my grandma. I hate my new school, and I hate being black. Why do I have to be different?" "Everyone is different one way or another," said Grandma. "I like you because you're different, because different is special." "Not to me," said Terry. "Different is a drag. Different is not having anyone to sit with at lunch, and not being asked over after school, and having everyone make fun of me like that dumb Peter, who today said, 'I thought all black kids were good at basketball.'" Grandma put her arm around Terry. "Just think what it would be like," she said, "if you went to the candy store and all the candies were exactly alike, instead of different kinds, shapes, and flavors. You wouldn't like that, would you?" Terry said, "Grandma, I'm not talking about candy. I'm talking about me, feeling like I don't count." "Well then," said Terry's grandma, "let's talk about you. What do you do when you feel like you don't count?" "Sometimes I try to make the other kids notice me," said Terry, "and sometimes I get mad. And other times I try to act cool, like I don't care. Once I hid under the bleachers where no one could see me, and I cried." "Goodness gracious," said Terry's grandma. "You do take after me. I used to do all those things when I was your age. I felt like I was the only one in the whole wide world who was different." "You did?" said Terry. "But back then, everyone in your school was black." "Just because people are the same color doesn't make them the same inside or outside," said Terry's grandma. "When I was your age, I felt different because I was so tall. And I felt different inside too because I liked climbing trees better than playing with dolls." "What did you do?" said Terry. "The same sort of things you do," said Terry's grandmother. "Sometimes I try to make the other girls notice me. Other times, when they called me beanpole or tomboy, I'd call them names back. Or I'd act like I couldn't care less, and sometimes I'd cry." "Then what happened?" said Terry. "After a while, I got tired of feeling left out and upset all the time. So I decided to try to get to know some of those girls. Some of them were pretty nice. And all of them were different, one way or another. One girl named Leslie liked to climb trees too. And another girl named Elsa made me realize dolls aren't all sissy stuff." "Pretty soon, I didn't mind being different because I began to feel better about being me," said Terry's grandmother gently. Then she laughed. "And I learned that being tall sometimes has an advantage, just as all kinds of differences are." "I still feel different," said Terry, "and I still mind." "Well, let's talk about your friends at your old school while you help me make some cookies," said Terry's grandmother, walking toward the kitchen. your old friends were pretty different from each other and from you, Terry's grandmother said as she stirred. Lenny, he had a limp. Carlo had an accent. Marta wore thick glasses. And Richie was very short. Yeah, but I knew them, said Terry. That's just it, said Terry's grandmother, giving him a taste. It's getting to know people that makes you feel more comfortable around them. Sometimes people are afraid of things they don't understand or someone new. Being different shouldn't make any difference. Things will probably get better with the new kids when you get to know each other better. It isn't that simple, Terry grumbled. Maybe, said his grandmother, but maybe if you worried less about being liked, it might be easier to start liking first. The next day, nothing much changed at school, but Terry kept thinking about what his grandmother said. He began really looking at the kids in his new school. They were all pretty different from each other, one way or another. Then he thought, I wonder what that Peter kid would feel like if he was the new kid at my old school. At lunchtime, Terry leaned his guitar case against the chair and tried to look as if he didn't mind eating alone. Hey, came a voice. Is that your guitar? It was that kid Peter. He was heading straight for Terry. Yeah, Terry said. What's it to you? Nothing. What I mean is, I just thought you might want to join our group. Then Peter sat down next to Terry. So sometimes what I say doesn't come out right. That's okay, Terry said. Then he asked, you play guitar? But banjo, said Peter. Maybe we could play together sometime, said Terry. That's what I was thinking, said Peter with a grin. Peter and Terry walked through the lunch line and talked right through lunch. During play period, Terry met the rest of the group. Peter didn't stutter at all when he played ball or talked to the new kids. And by the time the day was over, he didn't stutter talking to Terry either. Peter and Terry talked right through lunch. During play period, Terry met the rest of the group. Peter didn't stutter at all when he played ball or talked to the kids he knew. And by the time the day was over, he didn't stutter talking to Terry either. So when Terry asked, how about all of you coming over after school? Peter said, sure, in a clear and loud voice. That afternoon, Terry stomped into the house with his friend Peter, Nat who played the bongos, and Shan who had a horn, and Carla who played flute were right behind them. Hi, Grandma, Terry called as they raced upstairs to his room. I brought some friends with me. Peter, the kid I told you about, and a couple others. We're going to play, okay? After a few minutes, Grandma put some cookies on a plate and followed the kids upstairs. Terry asked her to sit down and listen. Hey, that sounds good, said Peter when they stopped for a cookie break. I think we'll be great together. I think so too, said Terry. Then he smiled at Grandma as if to say, you're right. Being different doesn't have to make a difference. It's really getting to know someone that counts. Thank you for listening to my story today.